episode 8. I thought I'd do tips and tricks for moving to a country completely alone when you don't speak the language. Here goes the church again. It's 7 o'clock. They love 7 p.m. 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. The church goes crazy. The bells anyway. Okay, so this isn't the first time I've moved solo to a country where I don't speak the language. I actually moved to South Korea when I was 23. I didn't speak the language. I think I had about 5 days awareness that I was moving countries before I moved. So, and that's a story for another day. But yeah, I guess it stood me in good stead for Italy because Italy's a lot easier. Where cultures are much more similar and the alphabet is the same, so at least I can read the words, and a lot of our root language is the same, which is not the case in Korea. So it has been easier. But yeah, I thought I'd put together sort of 5 top tips of the things that I think make a huge difference in moving countries. And some of these I have learned the hard way by not doing them. And Korea is a good example of that. And some of the tips I've really picked up over the last couple of years because my health's been so bad. I've had to learn, to go more easy on myself and change my expectations of myself and, lower the expectations. But this has been a really rewarding 6 weeks so far. So I thought I'd just come up with my 5 top tips, and I'll just talk you through what I think they are. So I think the first one is immerse yourself. You've got nothing else to do when you're alone in a country anyway, so you may as well get out there, start meeting people, do what the locals do. So in Sasami, they have a bunch of things to do, loads of things actually, for such a small village. On Tuesday every week they have a walking group that leaves at 7:30 because it's cool enough to walk then. So I've been going to meet them. I haven't gone every week, but I've gone 3 or 4 times so far, and almost nobody speaks English. There is one lady who speaks English, Donna, who's an amazing jazz singer. But it's a good chance for me to practice the few words of Italian that I know, and I'm definitely picking up more by going and meeting people. On Friday there's a cheese and vegetable market here. It's not anything like the one in Acquitarmi. It's just 2 stalls, but they have good quality veg, really delicious cheeses and some hams. So I do a lot of my kind of weekly shop here because I don't have a car and I never got my license back after the dizziness. And then I moved country and they won't give it back to me now, so I have to start from scratch. Which is, yes, frustrating, but I can't change it. There's nothing I can do to control it, so I just have to accept it. So say yes to invitations. That's part of, immersion. My neighbours have been absolutely incredible in inviting me out constantly to different things. There's always something on nearby. So I've been out with them to the solstice party where I got sacrificed. It was a joke. They kept saying, "We're joking." And I was like, dude, I know. Then, there's karaoke nights here on Sundays, usually. Today is Sunday. But tonight we have a drag queen show, so I'm going to that. But the karaoke night, I went down and, I used to do music, so I can sing. I wouldn't say I've ever been confident singing. I'm not a brilliant singer, and I certainly can't sing any song. I've got quite an alto, deeper voice. So anyway, I went down and I met some people, had some spritz and like an aperitivo. And before I knew it, the karaoke man was shouting my name and everyone was clapping. And I was like, what? It was very scary. Anyway, I got up and I was like, is there a book of songs? Like, what do I pick? And they were like, he just said, pick anything that comes to mind. And the only song that came into my mind was Bohemian Rhapsody. And I was like, you can't sing Bohemian Rhapsody. Why can't I say it? When you're new to a place, my brother has this great expression for me, which is you have to let the crazy out slowly with new people. which has been very good advice, but I very rarely manage to do it. Anyway, I was like, you can't sing that song, you can't sing that song. So I was like really trying to think of something, but my mind went completely blank. And I ended up singing Kate Bush, Hounds of Love, which I love. I know it well. It didn't appear that anybody listening knew the song. And then I did, later on, they shouted my name again. I didn't put my name down once. And I did Linger by the Cranberries, which it turns out is a bit higher than I had remembered. But, you know, I went out there, I did it. Everyone was very impressed because I tried. And I think that's kind of the crux of it all. If you go out, put yourself out there, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, I don't know, people get to know who you are. If you can try and do it in a way that lets the crazy out slowly, then all the better. So yeah, that's the first one, immerse yourself. I've met so many people here, and you know, me and my mum went to Verbania for 2 months, from in January till March. And I didn't meet anywhere near the amount of people that I've met here. I guess because I was with my mum and we weren't really going out and meeting people, but because I'm alone, I think it's easier to meet people. You go out, people talk to you. And I have a dog and she goes up to people and, you know, that helps. So immerse yourself, that's tip number 1. Number 2, I think expect disaster, expect a few crises, and don't beat yourself up too much when you're feeling worried or sad. Now that's really easy to say, but I do struggle with it. I do still give myself like high expectations, and this is a huge project. And so there have been meltdowns, and I think remembering that it's kind of a normal reaction to doing something completely different all on your own. There will be times when it's difficult. There will be times when things go wrong. And I think you kind of just need to acknowledge that any meltdowns you're having, or sadness, or, you know, just moments of panic, are just a totally reasonable reaction to doing things that are tough. And just kind of be nice to yourself when those things happen. And yeah, I'm saying it and I'm kind of thinking, I really wish I could take this on board. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is one for, I think, everybody who is like me, and everywhere I look, I've got ADHD, which I didn't realize for a long time, but some of my friends said, you didn't know? But like every room I walk into, things need done. So I'm like, every time I walk into a room, I'm like, I need to do this, I need to do this. And I end up with this huge long to-do list, which is just mentally exhausting. It's mentally exhausting practicing a language you don't know. So like when I'm speaking to people, when I'm putting myself out there, immersing, I meet people and I'm probably picking up 1 in every 9 or 10 words, and then trying to stitch together the story. And it is tiring. It's not like I'm not enjoying myself, I'm enjoying myself, but it does kind of wear you down. So I think giving yourself permission to rest is really important. It's all of this stuff, cleaning, doing DIY, not knowing anyone, not knowing how anything is done, not knowing where anything is, how to get the bus, where to get off the bus, who to ask for firewood or to get the drains repaired or blah, blah, blah. So all of that is exhausting, and I have to keep reminding myself to give myself permission to rest. And I was talking to my new friend the other day, and she was saying the same. She really struggles to take time off because there's things that need to be done. So we ended up giving each other permission to take time off. And actually that worked really well. So if you know anyone else who's a bit like you and you can't just chill for a bit because your brain keeps going, what's that? There's another hole. There's a crack over there. I need to fix that. What can I do? You need to kind of just turn that off for a bit, or at least try. So yeah, that's tip number 3. Give yourself permission to rest. 4 is embrace imperfection and embarrassment. So I don't know if you've read any Brené Brown or watched any of her speeches. She talks a lot about the power in vulnerability. And I think I've accidentally been kind of doing this throughout certain parts of my life where I've had difficult periods. It's not easy to ask for help. It's not easy to admit you need help, especially when you've moved somewhere on your own and you want to be independent. But you're not going to get everything right. So it is important to be able to talk to people, even if you don't feel like you know them well enough. So I'll give you an example. So this week, because I immersed myself and went to karaoke, I befriended a man called Luigi, who is very good at karaoke. And he ended up coming up, he's got a market stall, and I had loads of glasses and porcelain ware that was in the house when I moved in, and I wanted to get rid of it. But I didn't want to throw it away. So he has a market stall, and I said to him, would you like to come and have a look at some of this stuff? So he came up to my house on Wednesday. Just to rewind a little bit, Wednesday I was supposed to cycle to Boobio on my e-bike. Boobio is like a 35-minute cycle from here. So it would have been a pretty big day anyway. But something went wrong with the e-bike, and while I was cycling I was trying to change gears and it was making a horrible noise, and the chain basically got completely jammed. And so I couldn't go to Boobio, and so I pushed my bike back up the hill to my house. And I thought, there goes that. The day's gone, you know, things have gone wrong. I was in a pretty bad mood. I was like, you know, the chains come on my bike. I was trying to do stuff. Anyway, so I had texted Luigi to see if he wanted to come and look at the crockery and boxes of glasses and things like that. He turns up about 15 minutes after I get back to the house. And then, oh no, actually first the mayor and the builder that I had wanted to get quotes from turned up, and they were looking around the house, finding out what needs done. Every time we have this conversation I kind of panic a bit because everything needs done and I don't have the budget for everything. So just to give you an idea of where my mind was at the time. So once they left, Luigi showed up, and Luigi just basically took all the boxes, put them in the car, gave me a bottle of wine and an umbrella. I think the bottle of wine was a moving in gift. The umbrella, I'm not sure, but it hasn't rained since I arrived, so I don't have an umbrella. So I was like, okay, when it rains, this will be really handy. And it's got these beautiful pictures of Venice on it. Anyway, just before he was about to leave, he discovered I was struggling to get quotes to get the windows repaired or double glazed and maybe replaced. And he said, oh, I know a guy. So he calls his friend, Pippo, who then turns up in 20 minutes. And he's going around the house, like measuring all of the windows. He's brought his girlfriend or wife. My neighbour's coming with us and translating for me in Google Translate what they're saying in every, like we're going from room to room. So there was like a bunch of us going around my house. And then the geometra who I was supposed to go and see in Boobio, he shows up. So they're all there at the same time, they're all talking to each other, and they're all trying to help me, which I just think was fantastic. And it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't gone to this karaoke night and made a fool of myself. Because I would never have met Luigi. He would never have kind of known me well enough to come up here, because my neighbour did ask him if he would come up as well. And then I just, you know, I had all these people trying to help, and now I'm going to get like 3 different preventivos, which is the Italian word for quotes, for like the windows and some of the stuff for the house. This guy, Pippo, also can do lots of other sort of handyman skills. He's going to give me a quote for the gutters and replacing and repairing some of the stuff that's leaking. So that's all been really fantastic, and it was kind of a crazy day. And so I would say that day, almost everything, all of my tips kind of came together. Like immersing myself got me the contact that got me the contacts. You know, embracing embarrassment and imperfection. You know, I wasn't able to understand it, but my neighbour was then jumping in to help. And, you know, as a result, I was really, really tired afterwards. And so I had to give myself permission to rest. But yeah, it kind of all came together to really be helpful. And I really appreciated them all turning up and trying to help me. Because I just don't have the first clue of where I'm, you know, what I'm supposed to be doing, and how to find people. It's like people here don't do the same jobs as they do at home. So like, you know, the plumber does the well and the gas, but not the digging out and attaching to the sewer and things like that. So it's like things are just a bit different. Anyway, so that all worked out. And then my final tip is about probably ADHD, but for me to try and keep motivated, it's such a big task, and I think it would be really easy to panic or become really disheartened or downhearted, disheartened, down, I don't know. But it could be easy to become quite down about it because there's so much needing done, and I don't feel like I've made the progress I guess I expected to have made by 6 weeks. But yeah, so I think what I need to try and do is go back and remind myself to celebrate the micro wins, which is something that my physio told me 2.5 to 3 years ago. When I first started getting the migraines and the vestibular migraines, the dizziness, I had to go to physiotherapy and basically learn to walk and learn to balance. I had to do all these eye exercises. And, you know, I remember saying to her, I feel like the task is to climb Mount Everest and I can't even put tie my shoelaces. I feel like it's so far away from, and the task of, you know, of Everest was getting back to my job, being able to get back to who I used to be. And now that I'm pretty sure I'm not getting back to that job, I'm 100% sure I'm not getting back to that job, that's why I'm in Italy. I do actually feel like myself a bit more because I'm not having as many migraines. I've only had 3 migraines now in 6 weeks, and I would have had about 19 migraines a month. So that's a lot less. I don't know what the percentage is off the top of my head. Anyway, so she told me to celebrate the micro wins, the physio. And you know, the fact is I couldn't stand with one foot in front of the other without my arms wobbling wildly. You know, and then like 3 months later I could. And that for me is a micro win. And I have to try and bring that here because there's a lot of things that are working. You know, I've been here 6 weeks, like I say, and I already have a harvest of fresh basil leaves in the freezer because I planted a market bought pot when I first got here and it has done really well. So, and I've got loads of mint. I don't know if you can't really see the garden, but just basically the driveway, it's got lots of tiny little mint plants. So I've harvested loads of that as well. I've made loads of friends. I've got people coming to give quotes for all of the things that need to be done with the house. So that's progress, even though nothing has visibly started. So I have a lot to be thankful for. And I think that is a really important lesson for life, is celebrate the micro wins. Like my friend Nat said, who's done this in France, you know, you can sometimes like miss all of the progress if you're only focusing on what's not working. So it is really important to celebrate the little things that are going right. And so that's my top 5 tips for moving to a country where you don't speak the language on your Todd. That's on your own for non-British people. Yeah, let me know what you think, because I'm sure there's plenty of other people who have done it and have their own set of tips. I'd love to hear them. Yeah, like and subscribe if you can. I know it's really annoying that I keep saying that, but basically if I'm ever to make any kind of money from this channel, I'm gonna have to have subscriptions and people watching, so thanks. I'm off to see the drag show now, so I'll update you on that next time. Okay, bye.